so what we're going to do now is we're going to have a training on cold calling. Right? Whatever you've done before as far as cold calling, forget it. Right? I'm going to show you a method that works extremely well, and it targets or focuses you on one thing and one thing only. Right? With cold calling, your objective is going to be getting an appointment. All right? And the only thing standing between you and that appointment is going to be certain objections that you can run into. Now, over this training that I'm going to go over is I'm going to show you how not to have so many objections. Not to have the customer come up with so many different objections to what you're doing where they won't give you the appointment. All right? Basically, this type of cold calling is called the card and smile technique. And the reason why I call it a card and smile is because that's all you're walking in with. You're not going to go in there with any media kits. You're not going to go in there with any magazines. Okay? This is going to be 100% with just you walking in with a business card and a smile on your face. All right? So, to start us out, cold calling. This is by far one of the most important part of the sales process. All right? And is also the one thing that salespeople tend to hate doing the most. Right? And why is that? Right? The reason why we hate doing it the most is because we don't know what we're doing wrong. We don't. We don't understand why people won't give us an appointment. So let us look at first what we're doing wrong when we're cold calling. Right? So the first thing is, because you can't fix the problem unless you understand what the problem is. So the three most common mistakes of cold calling are: 1, wasting time. You go out without a plan and you drive around all day. And we talked about that in our time management class, about how to cut down on wasting time. That is by far one of the biggest reasons why salespeople don't accomplish very much when they're cold calling. 2, when you talk to someone, you word vomit all over them. And that doesn't sound too good, does it? Well, it isn't very good when a salesperson does it. And what that looks like is a salesperson will go ahead and they will walk in and talk to a customer. They'll say, "Hi, Bob, how you doing today? My name is Doug. I'm from Save-On. I was wondering if I could sit down and talk to you a little bit about our magazine. We have 3 different magazines in the area. It goes out to 25,000 homes. We also cover 1 million homes in this area." And they give a 30-minute presentation in 3 minutes. All right? And that's what I mean by word vomiting. All the time, Bob here is sitting here looking at me like, what did I say my name was? Okay? You got to make sure that you don't word vomit or try and do a full presentation in the first 3 minutes of meeting someone, right? While they're still trying to figure out what your name is. The third most common mistake is you never ask for the appointment, or you don't get the 4 pieces of information that you walked in there to get. Right? The customer is talking to you. They're telling you a lot of things, but it's not what you went in there for, and you never asked for an appointment. And it happens all the time. These 3 items here are by far the most common mistakes that salespeople make when they're cold calling. And we're going to figure out how to get around each and every one of them. Okay? Cold calling. The objective of cold calling is to get in an appointment and introduce yourself. That's how simple it is. Right? When you're out cold calling, you're trying to get an appointment, if you run into the right person, and introduce yourself. Okay? You're not trying to make a sale. You're not trying to sell them on one of our products. You're trying to make sure that all you're doing is getting an appointment and introduce yourself. Now, the most common people you're going to run into out there, and there's 3 of them, are the following. 1, a decision maker. Right? These are the people that when you run into a decision maker, you try and get an appointment. It's that simple. And introduce yourself. If you run into the gatekeeper, you want to gather your 4 pieces of information. If you run into a manager, you're going to try and get an appointment, but you want to make sure you qualify them as a decision maker. Let's look at each one of them individually. The decision maker. When you're dealing with a decision maker, the key is to get the appointment and introduce yourself. Fight the urge to give too much information. Always ask questions that lead to what you're trying to accomplish or lead to the appointment. Don't let them waste your time. How many of you went in to see a business owner and they basically started talking to you in the beginning, and before you know it, you were in there for almost an hour because the business owner just wanted to talk to someone, all right? Don't let them waste your time. Go in there with a purpose, and that purpose is to do what? If you're talking to a decision maker. Get an appointment. Introduce yourself and get an appointment. It's that simple, all right? The reason why I don't want you to go in there and try and sell them is because you are not ready to sell and they are not ready to buy. You don't know what happened before you walked in. They could have just got an email that, they have a huge tax bill. They could have just ended up having a phone call from their spouse that, there's a problem at home. You have no idea what happened before you walked in that door, and you can't control that situation. So let's make it easy on you. Let's make it where your objective is to just get an appointment. Does that sound good? Yeah. All right. The 3 most common cold call objectives when you run into a decision maker is, how much is it? You walk in and you introduce yourself. Right? Hi, my name's Doug Sheldon. I'm from Save-On. I was wondering if I could set up an appointment with you to talk about how I can help you make more money for your business. And the first thing they say to you is, how much is it? All right? If you run into a situation like that where they say, how much is it? Your natural response is to do what? Give your lowest price, right? Is to tell them. And so you're going to say, well, I can get you an ad for as low as $150. No, we don't sell by price here. What you want to do is you want to talk to them about putting the shoe on the other foot. Okay? When they say, how much is it? If it's, let's say it's a carpet store that you walked into. You could say, well, I understand that you would like to know what the total investment is going to be, but I'm going to have to ask you some questions to make sure that the product that I suggest for you is going to be the best product for you at the most reasonable price. Kind of like if I walked in here and I asked you how much carpet was for my house, you would have to do what? Ask me questions, right? Okay? It's the same thing here. So if I could ask you a few questions, we could sit down on an appointment, let's say next Tuesday or Wednesday. Would Tuesday or Wednesday work better for you? Wednesday? Morning or afternoon? Okay, morning. Let's say around 9 a.m. And we could go ahead and go over everything I asked you, and I would come in with a proposal and let you know exactly how much it would be. Okay? But don't give them a price. Because if you say, well, I can go ahead and give you an ad for as low as $150, what are you going to do if they say, oh, I'm already paying less than that in Bob's magazine? What are you going to do? You got nowhere to go. Maybe you're going to argue with them and try and change their emotion. It's not going to work. So don't go ahead and answer this with a dollar amount back to them. All right? The next one, I don't advertise. If a customer says to you, I don't advertise, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, how do you know that you were going to talk to them about advertising? Right? The card and smile technique is very direct and to the point. Hi, my name is Doug Sheldon. I'm from Save-On. I'd love to sit down with you and talk to you for about 15 minutes about how I can help you grow your business. Would Monday or Tuesday work better for you? Morning or afternoon? All right? You see how I'm direct and to the point? I'm ready if he has any objections. If not, he's going to go ahead and give me the appointment. And they do all the time. All right? Because the only thing that I'm asking for is what? The appointment. If he knows what Save-On is, and he repeats back to me, I don't do any advertising, right? If he stays with that objection, I'm not going to be able to get him to sit down to an appointment, right? But what I need to do is I need to try and change that objection. Do you agree? All right? So what's one of the first things you should do if you hear an objection? Repeat it back to him. All right? So you don't do any advertising, Bob? Nope. Nope, you don't do any advertising. Okay. What is your plans for this year, Bob, for 2017? Are you trying to grow your business? Oh, you are? Okay. And are you looking to bring in new customers? Oh, okay. How do you go ahead and bring in new customers? Oh, word of mouth. Okay, well, good. Did you know that people don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, you know, today's Wednesday. I need to go and tell a bunch of people about Bob's Restaurant. They don't. What they do is when someone says something to them about having breakfast or, hey, have you tried Bob's Restaurant? Oh, yeah, that's really good. They will go ahead and recommend you. But they're not on purpose going out there and telling other people to go to Bob's Restaurant. They need to have a spark that gets them to start talking about you. Bob, what I have for you is I have that spark. Let me take about 15 minutes of your time next Monday or Tuesday and see if I can help you get more people talking about you and help you grow in your business. It'll only take about 20 minutes. Does that sound good to you? What do you think? Do you think that's a good way to handle I don't advertise? Mm-hmm. All right. And I did not fight his emotion or argue with him. I listened to him. I listened to what his objection was, and I went ahead and I brought it around full circle. And that's what you have to do. The next one, I don't have time to talk to you. Hey, if he's busy and he's got a lot of customers in there, you don't have to talk to him right now. That's fine. Donna, I understand you're busy. Is it okay if I stop by and talk to you a little bit later on this week?
That's the appointment?
There you go. Maybe I can get the appointment just that quickly. And if they're like, I don't know right now, hey, you got to go. The good news is you do not have to win today, okay? They have a brick and mortar business. Do you think they're going to pick that business up and move it? Probably not, right? So there's a good chance that they're going to stay in the same spot where they're at. You have zone 19. Are they going to stay there in your zone? Yeah, most likely. So guess what? You don't have to win today. Stop back in next week. Stop back in 2 weeks. Don't give up on working the customer. It could be they're just having a bad day. Okay? Any questions about any of this? When you run into a gatekeeper, you want to make sure that you get 4 pieces of information. It's that simple. And let me tell you a little secret. They do not know these are what you're trying to do. They're just going to be answering questions. If I say to you, Bob, what color is your shirt? You're going to tell me your shirt is red, right? Unless you're colorblind, then you might say it's a different color, all right? Because it's a direct question. You had no idea that John asked me to find out what color your shirt was, right? You just answered the question. It is the same thing with cold calling, the Cardinal Smile technique when you run into a gatekeeper. If I go to Keith and I say, Keith, are you by any chance the business owner? And he says no, okay? I say, I'm sorry, Keith, what was your name? Keith, okay. Who is the business owner? Oh, his name is Brian. Okay. So I got the gatekeeper's name and I got the owner's name. All right, already, just by asking those couple questions. Next, what's the best way and time to reach the owner? If the gatekeeper says to you, they're in on Mondays and Wednesdays, that's a good thing. You can say to them, morning or afternoon. Oh, typically here all afternoon. So if I stop in the afternoon around 2 o'clock, would that be a good time to reach him? Yeah, that'd be good. Now, what if the gatekeeper says to you, they're never here? They're never here. Have any of us ever heard that when we were cold calling? Yeah, we all have, right? If the gatekeeper says to you, they are never here, the first question you should immediately ask them is, oh, do you have multiple locations? Because if they're a business owner, they're probably going to be in their location, wouldn't you think? So it's a good question to ask them if they have multiple locations. If they do, you can ask if they have an office in one of them or one of the locations that they tend to be at more often. Now, if the gatekeeper says, no, this is their only location, and they're never here, one of two things are probably happening. Either they're just trying to get rid of you, which it happens, or two, the business owner just doesn't come to his business that often. You can ask them, so what's the best way to reach the business owner? Maybe an email. If they say drop something off with them, fight the urge because you don't have anything with you anyways. Just tell them that I'll stop back later. I don't have anything with me today. I'm just out meeting business owners. Okay? You are not trying to sell anything today. All your objective is to do what? Get appointments and introduce yourself. It's that simple. Okay? Lastly, do they advertise? And how? So Bob, do you do any advertising? You do? With Valpak and Best Checks. Okay, perfect. So I know that they advertise. Now, what if I ask John if they advertise and John goes, I don't know. We've all had that happen, right? John said, I don't know if they advertise. Someone else takes care of that. A good question to ask is, so John, you don't know if they do any advertising. Do you see any coupons that come in? If he works the front desk, there's a good chance that he'll see some kind of coupons come in if they're advertising. Oh, you do? Are they paper coupons? Are they coming from digital? Oh, from a flyer. Okay, good. And so you kind of went around and you still got your 4 pieces of information. So let's go over the 4 pieces of information one more time. 1, the gatekeeper's name. Make sure you get the gatekeeper's name. 2, the business owner's name. Number 3, the best way and time to contact the business owner. And number 4, do they advertise and how? All right? If you get those 4 pieces of information from a gatekeeper, it was a good cold call. All right? Now, if you dig this one, number 3, down to where they tell you that exactly that they're there on Mondays and Wednesdays in the afternoon, and you say, okay, they're there in the afternoon, would 2 o'clock be a good time to catch them? And they say, no, probably 3. Then you got what I call an appointment to get an appointment. The business owner doesn't know that you have an appointment with them. All right? What you do is you have an appointment. In other words, you know that he's going to be there at 3 o'clock on Wednesday to go in and see him, walk in and say, hi, Tim. How you doing today? My name is Doug from Save-On. By any chance, are you the business owner? Yes, I am. I already knew that coming in. But now I have the business owner, and it's an appointment to try and get the appointment. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Right? And those are important. Put those in your calendar. Keep track of them. Okay? Try to always get an appointment to get an appointment. Okay. What if you run into a manager or supervisor? Right? These are the people who think they run everything, and maybe 70% of the time, they don't. So you have to make sure you qualify a manager or a supervisor. All right? You have to take the time to qualify them. Do you make the marketing decisions? Will you have to go over this information with anyone else? All right? If he says yes, he makes all the decisions, then you end up treating them like they are the decision maker. And you go ahead and do what? Schedule an appointment, right? Introduce yourself and schedule an appointment. If they say no, that they are not the decision maker, then what you need to do is gather your 4 pieces of information, just like if they were a gatekeeper, and try to set an appointment with both the manager and the decision maker. If you're not able to set one with the decision maker, the manager says you have to sit down with me, then you end up being the teacher. So let me tell you the difference between the teacher and the preacher. And let me grab one of my markers here. You should always have a black marker, all right, and hopefully a permanent one, in your pocket. If you end up getting an appointment with someone who is not the decision maker, a manager or supervisor, and you know that they're not going to make the decision, you become the teacher. Everything you say, every fine point that you go over, you start talking about the digital, or you start talking about the pricing of the ads, you write down on the media kit with your black marker. So that way, when they go back and they talk to the decision maker, they can simply look through the media kit and everything is circled and standing out for them. Does that make sense? Okay? So, if you run into a manager or supervisor, you have to qualify them. If they are the person who makes the decision, treat them like a decision maker and get an appointment. If they're not the ones, get your 4 pieces of information and try and set up an appointment with them and the manager. Okay? All right, so we have a 30-second commercial here at Save-On. And I'm going to show you an example of one real quick. So here it is. All right, go ahead and read it to you. And what I want each of you to do is I want you to come up with your own 30-second commercial. Right? This is basically what you would say to someone if you ran into them for the first time and they ask you what you do now. Right? And it's a business owner and you're trying to get an appointment. There are certain key facts that I want to talk about after I read this to you. And when you're doing your 30-second commercial, that you go ahead and make sure that you have each one of those factors into it. Now, you're probably never going to read this verbatim. But when you run into objections, you can grab bits and pieces of it and you can utilize it to help you get over those objections. Okay? So, Save-On is an advertising company that specializes in direct mail marketing. Our primary product is a magazine that is mailed to over 5 million homes monthly. Here in the Detroit market, we mail to 1 million homes. We divide our circulation into 25,000 homes so that you can pinpoint your message to those homes most likely to become your customers. In addition to our magazine, we offer DAL postcards and inserts at a fraction of the cost of doing it yourself. Of course, all of our products are supported by our Platinum Digital package. We realize how important it is to help your business be found when people search the web. Since we have been in business for over 30 years, we've helped thousands of companies reach their sales goals through our professional marketing. I am confident that given an opportunity together, we can come up with at least one concept that will help you grow your business. Would Tuesday or Wednesday work better for you? Morning or afternoon? All right? That is just an example of a elevator speech or a 30-second commercial. Now there's a couple key things that I want to point out about this 30-second commercial. I want to point out the fact that you talk about how many homes we go to. So for example, we go to 1 million homes here in Detroit. And we bring that down to 25,000 homes. I also want you to talk about the fact that we have complete digital support. Now you can be more elaborate if you want, or you can just mention it. It's really about who your customer is. Make sure that you talk about the fact that we've been in business. Now, that one that I just had on the screen showed 30 years. All right? We're actually up to 34 years. So that one needs to be updated a little bit. Right? Make sure that you ask alternate choice questions at the end of it. All right? When you're trying to get the appointment. Don't just say, so would I be able to meet with you Monday? Because he can say what? Right? He can say no. All right? He can go ahead and say no because maybe he has a doctor's appointment Monday. It has nothing to do whether he likes you or not. Right? So give him an alternate choice. Would Monday or Tuesday work better for you? Well, obviously Tuesday would be better because I have a doctor's appointment Monday. Would morning or afternoon be better? Afternoon. Okay? So maybe around 2 o'clock. All right? Use that to help guide you in that direction. So what I'd like each one of you to do is, before we come back to the class tomorrow, is I'd like you to come up with your own elevator speech. Okay? Using those points and coming up and utilize it in your own way. Okay, and bring that in with you tomorrow. Any questions about our 30-second commercial? No? Okay. The card and smile technique, all right? When you leave the office, all right, for those of you who are just starting, all right, I don't want you to carry anything with you. If you've been here a little while, and this is a refresher course for you, I never want you to take more than 6 media kits with you, all right? 6 magazines and media kits. And those are only used if you run into someone that you've already done a presentation to, all right? And maybe you got to go in there and re-talk to them about it, all right? Other than that, if you are cold calling, you are not carrying anything with you besides a card and smile, all right? You should walk into every door and business and business with a card and smile only. By showing too much, you give an opportunity for too many objections, right? Your job is already hard enough. Let's keep it simple. So let me give you a prime example. If I walk up to you, Donna, and I say, hi, my name is Doug Sheldon. I'm from Save On Magazine. We have a great magazine that goes out to the homes in this area, 25,000 homes. I'd love to sit down and talk to you about it. One of the objections that you could have is what?
I'm already advertising.
Yeah, because you know that I'm talking to you about advertising, right? And you could maybe not even like magazines, and you said, oh, I've seen magazines, I'm not even interested. Before I even had an opportunity to show the value of our product, you've already got a negative thought in your mind about our product. Now, if I walk up to you and I say, hi, my name is Doug Sheldon, I'm from Save On, are you the decision maker? And you say, yes, I'm the decision maker. I say, I'd love to sit down with you and talk to you a little bit about how I can help you grow your business. Would Monday or Tuesday work better for you? I've asked you a question at the end, so the good chance you'll probably answer that question, you know, or you might give me an objection like, what is it for? But I'm handling the objections that you're asking me instead of me giving you an objection. Do you understand the difference a little bit? Right? Most of the time, they will just tell you, well, yeah, I could see you Monday or Tuesday, because you're ending it with a direct question. You're not trying to sell them anything today. You're just trying to sit down with them and see if you can help them grow their business.
So what would be the answer to, what is this about?
So let's say that they ask you and they say, so what is this about? Oh, now you take parts from your 30-second commercial and you say, grab a little bit of, we're a marketing company here. We've been in business for 34 years, helping companies like you grow their business. Love to just sit down with you for a few minutes, maybe 15 or 20 minutes on Monday or Tuesday, and see if I can help you grow your business. Would Monday or Tuesday work better for you? Do you notice that I answered their question, but I circled back with what? Trying to get the appointment at the end of it. And they might ask you some more, so what do you do? And they might dig and dig. But you handle each one of those objections by trying to close with what? An appointment. All right? Never create your own objections. Always answer an objection with the opportunity to close with an appointment. Okay? All right? And that's when you use your 30-second commercial to lead to an appointment. So that was a great way to jump ahead on what I was wrote down up here. If an objection is given, come back to them with an answer that leads to an appointment where you can show them more. All right? For example, think of the objection like a tennis match. All right? You have to answer and serve to win. Right? The customer sending an objection to you, you go ahead and hit it back to them. If you're not able to get the appointment, make sure that you write down what happened. All right? If for some reason you didn't get an appointment, the customer said, I am not interested, I don't do any advertising. Write that down. All right? And take that and go and talk to your manager, a senior rep, or even call me. All right? Find out what you're doing wrong so you don't keep doing the same thing. Maybe you're walking in there and you're saying something that's tripping you up. I had one rep that was cold calling, and he said, Doug, I don't understand this. He goes, every time I walk in and I talk to a customer, they're not really paying attention to me. They're just kind of staring at my card for a while. I go, oh. So I watched him cold call. He walked in and he goes, hi, how you doing today? My name is Brian, blah, blah, blah. And guess what he did? He handed him a card the first thing. So I said, Brian, I got a perfect idea for you. Give me your stack of cards. I'm going to put them in my pocket. All the rest of the cold calls, I don't want you to hand a card to them until after you get the appointment. He goes, oh, okay. So he went in and he did his cold call. Hi, my name is Brian. I was wondering if I could sit down with you and see if I could help you grow your business. And not a single one of them stared at his card. Guess why? Because he didn't give it to him yet, right? It's the simple things that we do that makes our job harder. If you're doing something and it happens over and over and you need to correct it, don't keep doing it the same way. Basically, that's what insanity is. It's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Change the way you're doing it. All right? So, you should never get beat by the same objection twice. If you hear an objection, you should go and talk to a senior rep, a manager, whatever the case may be, and figure out how to get around that objection, or figure out what you're doing that's causing that objection. All right? Remember, the more info you give, the more objections you can have. Keep it simple. If I go walking in with a magazine in my hand and the customer says, oh, I don't do magazines, he probably said that because I had a magazine in my hand. That's the reason we're not carrying magazines in with us. All right? Always try to close a cold call with an appointment. Everyone agree? Okay. Does this sound like something very simple and easy to do?
Yes.
It's very to the point. There's no word vomiting here, right? There's no giving too much information. Your one objective is to do what? If you got a business owner in front of you, it's to do what? Get an appointment. Oh, and introduce yourself. The other objective, if you have a gatekeeper, is what? 4 pieces of information. That's it. It's that simple. And they're going to tell it to you. They don't know what you're going to ask. It's not like the gatekeeper is going to go, hey, Donna, before you leave, you forgot to ask what the owner's name was. His name's Bob. Right? No, they have no idea what you're going to ask. You have to go in there and know what you're looking for. Keep it simple. Okay? All right, so let's put together a plan. You guys are going to find out that I'm all about plans. Right? I plan to make sure that I do not fail at what I'm trying to do. All right, so here's the plan for you. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to drive your market. And we're going to dig into that here in a second. I'm just going to go over the staples of the plan. The next, you're going to map your market. Identify the spots in your market. All right? After that, we're going to work our market. All right, or work your market. Log in your market. And then finally, that's going to lead to you owning your market. You're going to own your market. Okay? So let's look at each one of these. Starting with driving your market. On the calendar, in this case, it's going to be this Friday. All right? There's going to be a day that you're going to drive your market. You're going to make sure that you look for the following items. Number 1, borders. All right? Find out where the border of your market is. If you're in zone 9, look to see what the natural borders are of your market. After you've went ahead and identified what the borders are, you need to look for business clusters and mark them on your map. All business tend to run together. So in other words, if you have a medical area, you're going to have a lot of medical businesses in that area. What other businesses tend to be around medical? Attorneys, yep. Lawyers, attorneys, yep, same type of thing. You have your chiropractors, your dentists, right? They all tend to cluster in the same area. Just like if you have a mall, you're going to tend to have a lot more what? Restaurants, retailers, exactly, all right? Residential areas, mark those on your map. Make sure that even though it's a residential area, you drive through and identify that there's no hidden businesses. You will not believe how many businesses are hidden inside residential areas. You could have a lawn keeper, a window company, who knows? Make sure you drive through and mark everything on your map. All right? Travel time. How long it takes you to drive from one side of your market to the other. Make sure you know that. All right? What's the fastest routes? Because when you end up dividing your map, you're going to want to know how to divide it. Right? Like I said, your business category. Similar businesses tend to migrate together. Hidden businesses. Leave no section of your map unsearched. You're going to spend a whole day just driving your market and making sure that you understand where all the businesses are in your zone. Now, how many of you are working in a market that you live? Okay. We tried to do that here at Save-On, right? Unless that market's already taken. So even though you live there, which should make it a little bit easier seeing that you live in that market, you still want to drive it and figure out where all the businesses are. Okay? That's what it is to drive your market. After we drive our market, we want to map our market. Okay? So I'm going to show you over here. I'm going to grab a couple markers real quick. And we're going to talk about, what you're going to get. Now, your manager is going to go ahead and give you a map of your market. All right? My market's a little weird shaped. All right? And this is zone 19. All right? From driving my market the other day, and now I have my map from my manager, I need to divide this map into 4 different sections. All right? And no, you're not going to just go ahead and divide it into 4 equal sections. You're going to divide it based on how many businesses are in each section. Okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to identify where the roads are. And let's say that I have a main artery coming right through the center, and I have another one that kind of drops through on an angle like this. I have a couple smaller roads that are like this, and then quite a few other small roads in between. But those are the main ones. All right. The next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and put where my different types of businesses are. So I know that my medical area happens to be right in this area. This is my medical area. There's a lot of medical-based businesses here. Okay? And I know that I have a good cluster of businesses up in here on both sides of the road, and then again over in here. Quite a few down in here. This whole stretch is all businesses. I have some here, a little bit here, a lot in this area. I have a couple that are hidden up in here, maybe a little bit here. All right. My residential area is basically through here. There's a heavy residential. Over in here, there's a lot of residential. And down in here is all residential. But in that residential, there was a couple of businesses hidden. All right? So this is an idea of where all of my businesses are at according to when I drove my market. Now what I want to do is I want to divide this into 4 equal zones so I can work my zones without a lot of windshield time. All right? So I go ahead, try and find a different color here. And I'm going to look at the business clusters, and I'm going to try and identify a good way to work this market. Now I'm thinking right off the bat that this zone right up here would be a good one to call A. And I probably could go ahead and follow this road here. I go just above it so I can see the line. And I can call this one B. And from the looks of this, it's probably pretty equal to go right down here and call this C and this D. All right? And maybe you would divide it a little bit differently. But the key is to divide your zone into 4 equal working zones. Or, I'm sorry, your market into 4 equal working zones. Once you've done this, you've limited your windshield time because you're not going to run from an appointment way up here all the way down here and then over here. You're going to work one area. You're going to cold call 25 businesses in Zone A on Monday. Tuesday, you go to Zone B and cold call 25 businesses. On Wednesday, you're in C, and on Thursday, you're in D. All right? You've put together a plan to be extremely focused on not spending a lot of time driving around. And it makes sense. So, mark your map with key points. Make 2 copies of this map. Right? Once you've got this done, make a copy for yourself that you can work on, and make a copy to give to your manager. Let them know, this is my market. This is what I've divided into. And it looks like these are the days I'm going to work each one of them. So that way, if for some reason he's got a lead for you, he can kind of identify which day you're going to be in that area. So he can help you stay focused on your windshield time. All right? Continue to mark your map where you've worked. So I went out this first Monday and I worked this area here, and I cold called that whole area, and there was 31 businesses that I cold called. Okay? Identify each day. Maybe on Tuesday I worked this area here on both sides, and I went and saw 33 businesses. It's a working process. You can write on this. Make copies so that way next month you can start another one. But have yourself a plan. Make a pledge to yourself to know every business owner in your market, even if they don't run with you. You can get leads from business owners who don't do the magazine. What if they know someone else who comes to them and says, hey, John, what type of advertising you doing? Well, Tim, I don't really do any advertising right now, but I do know this lady, Donna, has been stopping in quite a bit from Save-On. Here's her card. It looked like a pretty good book. I'm just not using anything right now. Right? And you could get a referral and not even know it. So get to know every business owner. All right? Mark your calendar in MagMan what zone you're working. If you're out cold calling, and that's what you're accomplishing today, I am cold calling in Zone B. It's part of my plan, right? I don't have to write down every business I'm cold calling in my calendar. Just write down I'm in Zone B today. Does that make sense? Okay. Everyone's with me, right? Okay. After that, we have to work our market, all right? We got to make sure that you work your market. And what that means, the reason why people fail in cold calling is they give too much information in the beginning. And they waste way too much time. Keep it simple and plan your day. Right? And here's an example. First part is preparation. Know what subzone you're going to work before that day. Does it make any sense to go out and, well, let me see. Today I'm going to work in Zone C. Know that ahead of time and have it planned. Number 2, papers. Fill out your call sheets and have them ready each and every day. Right? We're going to go over a call sheet here in just a second. Next, start. Start in one corner of the subzone and work through the entire zone. Okay? Don't bounce all around even though it's a subzone. All right? Activity. See at least 30 business owners or businesses per day. This right here will help you keep your time management and do good calling, which is going to allow you to work your market. Right? As far as your call sheets, all right, each one of you got in your new hire packet a call sheet, and this is what it looks like. It has the 4 pieces of information read on it. Okay? There's a space for you to write the business owner, or excuse me, the business, who makes the advertising decision, the gatekeeper's name, where do they advertise, and the best way to contact. And there's even a spot here for notes. Okay? When you're working out in your market and you're cold calling and you're running into gatekeepers and decision makers, keep this piece of paper in your pocket or on a tablet of paper. Take down notes. All right? If you don't want to do it when you're talking to the person because you want to have that communication, as soon as you're done talking with them, go to a table, go to a bench outside, whatever, and write the information down. Grab a business card, write it down on a business card, and transfer it to here. Okay? utilize this sheet because it's going to help you stay organized. All right, you're going to be able to get 10 cold calls per sheet. So if you're seeing 30 businesses, how many sheets are you going to fill up? 3. Simple math. You guys can yell out the answers anytime. This is going to be easy as far as math. All right, I want to talk to you next about, after the cold call sheet, all right, using your cold call sheet, you get 4 types of cold calls. There are 4 different kinds of cold calls you're going to run into. The first one is an information gathering cold call. Right? That's when you get 3 or 4 pieces of the information. Right? The next one is going to be an appointment to get an appointment. That's when you find out the specific date and time that the business owner is going to be there. You got all 4 pieces of information, and you dug it down to find out exactly when the business owner is going to be there, so you can go in and have an appointment with them or set an appointment. All right? The next one is an appointment. That's when you run into a decision maker and you ask them to give you 15 to 20 minutes to sit down and talk about how you can help them grow their business. The last one is what I call a back page appointment. That means you did not get at least 3 pieces of information. They're a little bit rude. They won't give you the information. It's still important for you to recognize that you went in there. Take your piece of paper and flip it over. Uncle Jim's Jerky Shack would not give me the owner's name. It wouldn't even give me his name, and he was a gatekeeper. All right? Write it down. Maybe next time you go in there, be nicer. Okay? In order for cold calling to work, you have to track all of your cold calls. It's that simple, guys. You have to track them. Otherwise, they're going to slip through the funnel, and you're doing all that work for nothing. All right? All your appointments go into Magman. All right? Appointments and rewrites, when you get ready to start doing rewrites, have to go into Magman. The other 3 stay on your cold call sheet and must be worked. Nothing goes off your cold call sheet unless you either got a no or you got an appointment. All right? And I'm even going to help you guys with color coding. All right, so we have a color code for you for your code sheet. So that way you can look, you're going to have quite a few code calling sheets. You're going to have 3 per day, and you're code calling 100 places now that you're starting out, right? So you're going to have 10 sheets. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just look at them all and be able to tell which ones are appointments, which ones are follow-ups? So what we do is we color it, and I'll show you on the slide here. It's the number right here. We just color the number a certain color. All right, so yellow is going to be an appointment to get an appointment. You color it yellow if you got an appointment to get an appointment. If you don't put any color on it, it's just a normal cold call, all right, one that you got to follow back up on. It means you got 3 or 4 pieces of information. Don't color those ones. Blue is for a corporate account, all right? You got the information on a corporate account, a big whale, and you want to follow up on it, you want to send information in, color it blue. Those ones take a little longer, but if you end up landing the corporates, you're pretty happy. Those are typically big accounts, all right? Do not be afraid to go and cold call corporate places. And I'm going to tell you the difference when you walk into a place that you think is a corporate. One of the first questions you ask the person behind the desk is, are you a franchise or a corporate? Don't just assume, ask them. If they say they're a corporate, there's no pressure on you, all right? Ask them if they could give you the information to the marketing department. Get all that information, whether it's an email or a phone number, and start contacting them, or use your lead generator to help you do that. All right, so blue is for corporate. Green, which is the color of money, is going to be your appointments. Color them green. And we're hoping to get 6 to 10 of those a week, right? Okay. Red, special instructions. All right, so maybe it's a future call. The business owner says, hey, look, I'm going out of town for a couple weeks. All right, give me a call in a couple weeks. Mark it red. All right. Or the person says the only way you're going to contact the business owner is if you send them an email. Color it red. I don't want you to go and start emailing business owners right away. I want you to try and call on them a couple times before you go to that emailing. And when you do start emailing, make sure you talk to the lead generator in your market to get their information on how they contact business owners through email. It takes a special way of doing it. And I want to make sure that you guys do it correctly. Okay? Your goal is to turn every single call on your cold call sheet what color? Green like money. Okay? Any questions? This makes sense? Okay? All right. So, now, am I telling you that you should carry markers around with you and start coloring them while you're out there? No. Natural pause. Natural pause part of the day, mark your cold sheets. Guys, the reason we're doing this is to help you keep track of everything. You will not believe how many sales reps I've seen who the way they keep track of their business owners and their cold calls is by taking a business card and slipping it into a filer, and then they page through them. They have no idea what that business was, what the 4 pieces of information was, if they saw a decision maker. I'm giving you the tools that I use to be extremely focused on getting the appointment. Utilize it. It's going to work for you. Okay? The next is owning your market. All right? This is what you're striving to do. All right? Each one of you are going to be an entrepreneur. All right? You are going to be the owner of that market. It's just like basically owning your own business, except for you're taking the leadership role in your market. And if you can do that, you can move to where you end up being a manager eventually. All right? But you got to start right at that first step in owning your market. And that requires you to basically the feeling that you should have and the competitors in your market should have is you should hear the other people saying, wow, that's a save-on market. All right? Your competitors don't even want to go and try and sell in that market because that's a save-on market. All right? Bob is amazing in that market. Donna is amazing in that market. John is amazing in that market. They don't even want to sell against you. Right? That's a save-on market. That is what true ownership is. Right? And the ways that you can do that is by cold calling and knowing every single business owner in that area. All right? Running reports in Magazine Manager. Don't waste any time. Go in there and play with it. You can't break it. Go over the weekend and start looking at the different reports. It's all wide open to you. There's nothing in there you can do to hurt anything. Okay? Having at least $5,600 in revenue in your local market. That's got to be a goal for you. All right? That's 8 pages of local sales. That's got to be your first goal. Whether it's going to take you 4 months to do it, which is selling 2 pages per month, or it takes you 8 months because you sold 1 page. Have a plan. If you're going to own your market, you're going to have to make plans. Right? Being your own manager. Being your own manager. You not need someone to watch over your back. You have a plan on how to get what you're trying to do in your local zone, and you run with it. Okay? 60% customer retention. Our company goal this year for 2017 is retaining 60% of our customers, because there's about 40% that sometimes you can't do anything about. Now, that could be on the low side for you. Right? Me personally, I want 90% of my customers to stay with me. If I have 100 customers, I want to keep 90 of them. All right? Work hard to achieve those goals, and you will own your market. It's going to be a save-on market. And it's going to be that way because you took the time to own it. Okay? And then finally, that's it. Does anyone have any questions?